Some ironic, harmonic, invading comments. You wanted a paralytic, a mystic, an unfortunate piston. Balance of panic is fading to a number of planets who granted a breeze besides all the peril it landed. A woman standing has landed upon a valley, reminded of broken homes and breathing in the bitter Atlantic. We roam, illuminating and fading, the colors remaining and celebrating bandages of delicate hate. The center painting is an image of constellation stations. Patience has no place or taste of grace, and relating to races and the color of cases. Constant waste of space where the battered and the brave say we have got it backwards. Is not the answer. Has said it after reason screams out loud. The crowd reaction wants satisfaction. Your calm collection, deeper sense of doubt. If lust is pastime and trust is asinine, the rust of material excuses what you can't find. Blind to the error of your ways, dime by dime. In hindsight, the truth is in the fourth grade. Is it black as the night? Is it bleak? Is it bright? Is it centigrade or Fahrenheit? Shine thine eyes upon the weakest soul. Comfortable is the role of the idiots of old. God damn it! Is it blasphemy I've landed? You do nothing with your fake shit and leave the wounded stranded on your throne. You accuse me of a crime unknown. You without sin can cast the first stone.
And we're back. Udicci Presents Udicci, Part 3. If you're tuning in for the third time, we greatly appreciate it. If you're tuning in for the first time, we greatly appreciate that too. If you're not tuning in at all, we still love you. Welcome to Udicci Presents Udicci, and tonight we are just kind of going through who we are, what we're trying to do, and kind of introduce yourself. In this segment, I think I want to speak a little bit more from the heart. We'll definitely cover a few things, but one of the things we'll start out with is who is Udicci. Udicci is a technology startup company out of Rochester, New York, and we have built a social platform to help facilitate economic development right here at home and also around the country. We've been working with a local credit union, Lexington Federal Credit Union, to create a few initiatives that can actually begin to make real and lasting differences in our communities. And we've now kind of reached the point where we can start to really put those into play full scale. And we're hoping that we can actually get more people involved in Rochester. And we're actually very happy and glad to say that in the past couple of weeks, we've actually seen a groundswell of support in town through a number of citizens who are actually stepping up to start making a difference in Rochester, New York. And we now have an initiative we'll talk about, which is called Citizen 585. So we'll talk a little bit tonight about, well, first we're going to start out talking about hope. Then we're going to talk a little bit about an economic revolution, social media and the power that we have there. We'll talk a little bit more about Citizen 585, and then we'll introduce you just on the high side to some of the technology and hopefully encourage people to get involved, learn a little bit more. It's certainly not our intent to try to introduce and tell you everything tonight. And instead, we're hoping just to stir you a little bit on the inside and tell you why you should get involved. So the first thing is that I do want to get out there is that Udicci is committed to hope. If you ever see any of our taglines, you'll see that it says Credito Spes, and that is our best chance or our best guess at translating back to the core of the Latin words, and it means committed to hope. For us, it was very important to reach back and commit to ourselves, more than anybody, commit to ourselves that we would actually see through this thing that we call Udicci. See, when I say we, it's Tim Maslin, myself. My name is Chuck Lavecchi, and I oftentimes will say that I'm the poster boy of everything that is wrong in the world of finance. And as you get to know me, you'll sit there, you'll probably agree with me, because that's not the only place that I have things really wrong. But what I have learned over the many, many years is that if we simply set out in the right direction and with the right mind and the right heart, even if we don't want to do it, but we just continue to persevere through it, and we persevere through those difficult times, those times that we want to quit, those times that we're just saying, why is it that we're doing this? That if we persevere through that, you'll begin to find out who you truly are. And there's something important to knowing who it is that you truly are on the inside, and we'll call that your character. And in our system, you'll see that our system is entirely based around this idea that says what you say and what you do is who you are. And really that's just simply a reflection of ourselves, because we could have quit so many times. We have failed so many times Things didn't work the way we wanted them to work, the way we thought that they would work. We weren't quite sure how we were going to pay the next bill. And quite frankly, we're not sure today how we're going to pay the next bill. And that's probably a little bit weird for people to sit there and go, you're a company and you're sharing that publicly. And we're here to say, yeah, we think it's about time that people started getting a little bit more raw and a little bit more honest. So I want to say that we do believe that it is through perseverance that you find your character, and it is through character that you find hope, and that we know this. Hope will not disappoint, and we do need to grasp onto hope. And we need to grasp onto hope because we truly believe that we're at the very beginnings of an economic revolution. We believe that we are seeing today complete systemic failures of our economy. Back in 1964, we created this so-called war on poverty. And here we are nearly 50 years later, and we're losing. It's hard to say that our actual economic system is working when we have more and more and more people in poverty. And here's the problem that I have is we have this entire system that's created upon debt. We call it Keynesian economics, right? Every time that there's a problem, every time that we need to stimulate the economy, we have to go out and get more debt. And somehow, through debt, we're going to find prosperity. I have a bit of an issue with that, right? Because if I were to go home and tell my family, hey, we need more debt so we can be more prosperous, well, that really wouldn't fly. Could you imagine any kind of financial literacy out there going, go get more debt and you will be more prosperous? But somehow we've been told that if we do this as a country, that we will find prosperity. Yet it hasn't happened. For all the billions and hundreds of billions and even trillions of dollars that we have in debt around this country, prosperity is still elusive. We still have many people who do not eat on a daily basis here in America. We're not talking about the horrendous things that are happening overseas where bodies are floating up on shores because refugees are leaving because of war. And yes, we should be concerned about that too. But what I am talking about, what's going on right here at home. All of this debt that we have accumulated. Let's just think about this. We have spent, in 2014, we spent $229 billion on interest payments. $229 billion paid to interest. Now in America, we have 46.5 million people living in poverty. And if we were to take that $229 billion, that interest-only payment, and by the way, that does not include intergovernmental debt, just public debt that's held elsewhere, that would be $4,900 for every man, woman, and child in poverty in the United States. Certainly that would be enough to feed them. So I cannot fathom that we're going to continue to believe that debt is the way that we're going to get to prosperity. And unfortunately, there are many who disagree with me, but I will say this. There are many who agree that it is time for a change in our economic structure. And I do believe that we are at the very beginnings of that change. And the great news is that we can usher in a new era of prosperity. And yes, it's going to be difficult, but we have to change. We, the people, have to change. We have an opportunity to change in a way that really the system's probably not really going to like. And I say the system because I look at it this way. We look right now when we talk about the banks and all that they're doing wrong and how the banks have all the money. The banks, the banks, the banks. And then we talk about how the 1% of the wealthiest individuals in America hold 40% of the wealth, while 80% of Americans share 7% of the wealth. We're living in a broken system, and it needs to change. Interestingly, is we have the opportunity to make those changes, and they exist right in each and every one of our neighborhoods. And I submit that they start with local credit unions. We have these credit unions that sit in pretty much everybody's backyards. They are non-profit banking institutions. They are owned by their member customers. That means that if that bank, that credit union profits, that money is returned back to the community. Imagine, if you will, if that $229 billion had actually been spent and returned back to our communities instead of paying back to China and back to Japan. Now, don't get me wrong. I am glad that people over in China and Japan have jobs and that they're eating, but their systems are failing too. We need to come back and begin to focus into our communities. We need to get back to relationships, and we need to get out behind the screens that we have, and we need to get out into the streets. Now, let me talk a little bit about social media, because I believe it to be an extraordinarily powerful tool. In fact, it may be one of the most powerful tools of our generation, perhaps since mankind has been able to communicate. Now, I do believe that the printing press was one of the biggest revolutions in the world. It allowed man to communicate across time. And they shared information, and they shared knowledge, and they shared what was good. Today, with social media, we can do that in minutes. We can share different perspectives. We can share in different languages in minutes. We can exchange knowledge. We can give knowledge away. And even as we can give knowledge away today, we still spend thousands upon thousands upon thousands to educate people who end up further in debt. And yet we have this tool that we can use for the good of humanity. And Udicci has created a platform that indeed intends to take all of that social media and let's begin to organize it. Let's get over the chatter. Let's actually go back to our roots. Let's focus on relationships. Let's use the tool that's been given to us for the good of humanity and for the good of others. Let's use social media to educate. Let's use it to give away knowledge. Let's use it to build people up and to connect people with the resources that they need. One of the first solutions you're going to hear about is a solution called Citizen 585 that we grew right here in Rochester, New York. Citizen 585 kind of grew out of a system that we internally call Citizen Connect. But it began simply from online. A group of citizens got together in Rochester, New York, and they created a Facebook page. It was Rochester Citizens Against Poverty. Shout out to Brandon Kirshner, who started that page. And literally almost overnight, so many people joined that page saying, yes, let's do something, let's do something. But unfortunately, what all too often happens with social media is we had a whole bunch of yes, 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 let's do that, let's do that. Here's more information, let's talk, let's talk, let's talk. But we said, you know what, not this time. We're not going to allow just all that good intent to just slip by. So we have this thing called Citizen 585. Where we have created a platform that begins to connect the citizens to the resources that they need. We have some plans together to get churches out on the streets doing what they're supposed to do, connecting people and helping people. About charities getting out on the streets and connecting people back to the government resources that they need. Our government is overwhelmed. You know, as citizens, we sit here and talk about we can't afford any more taxation, we can't afford any more taxation. Our government was never formed to take care of everybody. It was intended that the community would take care of itself, and we have to get back to that. But we do know that in this day and age, we need technology. We rely on technology to communicate, to share information. And that is exactly what it is that we have created here today. And I'd like my business partner, Tim Maslin, to kind of introduce that. So while we do a little transition, let's go ahead and play that Citizen Rock video, and you can give you an idea of the technology that it is that we can bring to your community, to Rochester right here. And while the technology is good, I'm going to say this. It's more important that we get out and get to know each other. Let's start building the relationships again. And let's start making a difference here in our hometown.
Some ironic, harmonic, invading comments. You wanted a paralytic, a mystic, an unfortunate piston. Balance of panic is fading to a number of planets who granted a breeze besides all the peril it landed. A woman standing has landed upon a valley, reminded of broken homes and breathing in the bitter Atlantic. We roam, illuminating and fading, the colors remaining and celebrating bandages of delicate hate. The center painting is an image of constellation stations. Patience has no place or taste of grace, and relating to races and the color of cases. Constant waste of space where the battered and the brave say we have got it backwards is not the answer. used as asinine. The rust of material excuses what you can't find. Blind to the error of your ways, dime by dime. In hindsight, the truth is in the fourth grade. Is it black as the night? Is it bleak? Is it bright? Is it centigrade or Fahrenheit? Shine thine eyes upon the weakest soul. Comfortable is the role of the idiots of old. God damn it! Is it blasphemy I've landed? You do nothing with your fake shit and leave the wounded stranded on your throne. You accuse me of a crime unknown. You without sin can cast the first stone. As if the party never stops, we're blasted 14.
That's right. As Chuck said, wow, he got it on this time. Welcome back to production. All right, so we are actually talking about the social solutions. Udicci does deliver social solutions. That's what our platform was built to do. And one of the things that we've identified is that personal growth is community growth. And we truly believe that, and we've actually been living it for 4 or 5 years now. And one of the things that we have in front of us is a solution that actually helps us to be able to deliver the social solutions that are needed to help connect people in the community. And one of the things that we actually want to make it so that the citizens of Rochester right now, but around the country, can actually connect. And when they're connecting, we want to connect them to organizations, people, businesses, anything like that that can actually help them in what they need, whether it be mowing a lawn or a ride to the store or something more insurance related or medical related, anything along those lines. It's all about connecting the people and what they need and connecting them to the people that can provide the service for them. So part of Citizen Connect, what we've created in the solution, is the ability to connect these people with these organizations and identify the needs inside of these communities. Some of the things that we want to make sure that we help explain is we're actually, it's an initiative to help overcome poverty in Rochester is what Citizen 585 is. And as Chuck said, it kind of came from the Rochester Citizens Against Poverty initiative initially. And we've evolved it into something a little bit more so that we can bring in the technology and start connecting through the networks that we have. And if you watch later, we're going to have a little bit more of a presentation of the software in one of the next segments that will actually kind of go through some of the goals that we've set that includes the churches, that includes the citizens in the community, and actually can bring all these people together and show some of the plans that we have and how we can start using our system to actually manage all of the things going on in the community. Now, to kind of end this up, one of the things that we want to make sure is there's a call to action here. We're actually calling this the roll call. And what it is, we've identified a few roles that we feel are necessary in the community to really identify the people that can help in those areas. So tonight, our call to action is, how can you help? What are the immediate roles that you can fulfill? What are the things that you can bring into the community to help others around you? And we're not talking about going to the globe or anything like that. We're talking about starting right in the community, because that's where we believe it really truly it starts. And we want to actually include Lexington and make sure that everybody knows that we have a very strong relationship with them that can also help in the community of Rochester. And we actually have weekly conference calls that anybody that are in the Rochester area, they want to participate inside of in these conference calls, share with us what you're seeing, what you're hearing, what you're experiencing, everything that would help us. That's what we need, is we need those voices to kind of start coming together. And so if you go out to Udicci.us and you click on the engage button, there's a nice little form that comes up there, allows you to select your roles, tell us about your experience, and actually submit and help us in this initiative to help defeat poverty. Please join us. We're Udicci. I'm Tim Maslin. My business partner Chuck. We'll be back shortly.